emergency room for emergent care that occurs because they were not able to get the kind of care that you just described that they no longer can get, and so then their conditions deteriorate to the point where they're clogging up the emergency room.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, because the emergency room has to legally see them and stabilize them. So then they'll get treatment at the ER, and then they'll clog up the emergency room, and then that will cost the hospital more money because obviously the emergency room is way more expensive than seeing your doctor at your regular appointment and just paying a copay or whatever Medicaid. I think Medicaid is free. Or going to the pharmacy picking up your regular meds. You're going to end up at the ER, which is going to drive up costs. And that's going to drive up healthcare costs. These rural hospitals, what I believe is going to happen is they're going to start to close once that $50 billion runs out or wherever it goes. I don't know.
And people will die because here's what happens in the rural areas. And I have a degree of understanding. I'm not cutting you off. Your contributions are just amazing today. In the rural communities, because I have a degree of understanding of pre-hospital emergency care, because I did a lot of covering of that. So what happens is, if you're in an urban area and you have a heart attack or you're involved in a catastrophic accident, first of all, the EMS will respond in an expeditious manner, generally speaking, and generally speaking, now, thank goodness, in most of the country, it's going to be a paramedic unit, not just a BLS, basic life support unit, and then they're going to get you to the closest appropriate facility, which might be a regular emergency room, or it might be a trauma center emergency room. There are different statuses of emergency rooms to expedite the proper care. In rural areas, that's not how it works. In rural areas, it's going to take the ambulance a long time to get to.
That's correct.
And then, if you have a serious life-threatening condition, they're not going to necessarily take you to that trauma center. They're going to take you to the rural hospital. And what will happen at the rural hospital is that the doctors there will try to stabilize you. And what do all of these rural hospitals have? Heliports. And why do they have heliports? Because then, by the way, at great cost, a medevac is brought in, weather permitting, to fly the patient to the healthcare center that the rural community cannot afford to sustain. Now, imagine that just 1/4 or 1/8 of the rural hospitals close. I will tell you right now, and I'm sure there's studies that will tell us the projections. Imagine how many people are going to die who otherwise would have lived if those hospitals hadn't closed. And now, check me on that if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think this bill is just a bad idea for all Americans. I think that the Republican Party, namely, I guess I don't really even consider them to be Republicans nowadays. I don't even know what to call these people because I was born, of the 80s, so I remember Bush, Dad Bush, and was the Bush after the son Bush, and other Republicans. I don't know what you call this group of people because I think they've lost their minds. But yeah, I just think this bill is a bad idea all around for Americans. And I will say this, I don't want to take up the stage, but when they talk about these work requirements, you can actually look it up. In the state of Georgia and also in the state of Arkansas, they did implement work requirements. They did it in 2018 and 2019. They created a program, and their belief was that if they implemented work requirements, it would force people or make people become employable and get off Medicaid. And what exactly happened was the exact opposite. The rate